we tend to be heavily involved in life, psychologically involved, and not even realize that that is what has happened. It's become a movement, an automatic movement that is just the way we function. And it seems harmless enough. It seems normal enough. And in fact, what is at the root of a lot of this movement that has become so normalized is attachment to outcomes. And attachment to outcomes essentially means a relationship to outcomes, to circumstance, to pleasure. They are all interconnected or synonymous with each other. You have circumstance is outcomes, outcomes is pleasure or pain. So an attachment to outcomes basically means where a sense of self has been formed that feels dependent on outcomes. And if that sense of self is developed, then as soon as we find ourselves in life, we're involved in it. We're invested in it because it is seen to be part of who I am. So you can't find yourself detached. You can't find yourself quiet. So the word detached sounds unfortunate, and in a way it is. It depends what you mean or what I mean by detached, because you can become psychologically detached in a way where it is still a false sense of me that is withdrawn and dissociating from life. And that is a movement of the psychological me, which isn't the natural, quiet, fulfilled detachment that I'm referring to. So you can have a psychological me that is detached from life, withdrawn from life, because it's just so painful to be in life and attached, that a counter movement happens. And that's not from, that's just a particular direction that we habitually move in when attachment is there. What most people find happening when their sense of me that is attached, when that's there, we find that we are very involved and psychologically involved in life, which really means seeing life and effectively being in resistance to it. Being in resistance to it whenever it doesn't look the way that we feel is most supportive of our sense of self. And it's not an option. That's a very important part. What I'm describing here is not how you should or shouldn't act in relation to life. What I'm describing is a movement that is automatic and is not optional. That if the psychological me has been put in place by life, then the involvement, the resistance, the seeing the other as an enemy, a competitor, a rival, seeing the direction that life is going in as unacceptable, is forced to happen. And similarly, if that psychological me starts getting weakened and dissolved, then that involvement, the psychological involvement, the resistance to life, the resistance to the other, doesn't happen, can't happen. So very important, this is not a prescription to a doer to say, oh, don't be involved in life. It's not saying, well, you have an option, you can either be involved or non-involved. Involved means feeling uncomfortable. Non-involved means feeling at peace. So and that involved uncomfortableness, non-involved is feeling at peace, but It's not as simple as, oh, in that case, I'll just do non-involvement. Because the involvement or the non-involvement is an automatic movement based on the structure of the person, structure of the human being. And life has structured us. So essentially, life is forcing us, based on our structure, to function a certain way. And there's no reason to be pessimistic about the outlook of the statement that life is designing you and then forcing you to be a certain way, because life has designed you guys to be a certain way that you turn on this sort of new conditioning in life. And so if anything, there's a reason. This is what Ramesh would say when he'd say, you're not in control. Life does the conditioning, and therefore you'll act according to your genes and up-to-date conditioning. So it's not up to you as to, whether your seeking will be fruitful or not. And he said, but there's no need to be pessimistic. In fact, there's every reason to be optimistic, because look at how life has moved you so far. Life is moving you in such a way that you are designed to be attracted to this sort of new information. And it's not your doing. You're attracted because of your genes and up-to-date conditioning. And there's plenty of other people in the world who are designed by life to be completely uninterested in this information, which is completely understandable. One should be pessimistic, it would be them. They're not going to be pessimistic because they aren't looking at life that way.